Apple dropped some great hardware this year for those who want the best iOS and watchOS kit that money can buy. I mean, real top tier gear. But what if you have top tier tastes with mid-range or entry-level money? Apple has you covered there as well. We're talking iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro. And with the $200 difference between the two, how do you know which one's the best fit for you? Well, as fate would have it, you've come to the right place. And I'm going to walk you through what these devices offer so you can make an informed decision. Let's get into it. At first glance, you may think they're the same phone as they share the same screen size, but look around back and you'll find a foreshadowing of what's in store for you as you comparison shop. I think that beyond the initial and most important question, what can you afford, comes how long do you hold on to devices? Every couple years, or are you a rocket to the wheels fall off type person? As you can guess by my questioning, the purpose of this comparison isn't to say which of these phones is better, but rather which is better for you, for your specific needs and budget. Let's get this started with the good news. Regardless of which device you choose, there's a lot on offer here. It all begins with iOS 16, the latest operating system for your iPhone that brings with it some pretty cool features. You'll have the new improved voice dictation, photo lookup that cuts the subject out of images, making your meme life easier, and that new medication app that I'm in love with. But with all of the updated internals, you're going to get the new crash detection feature on both devices. Apple used real-world crash test simulations to train their artificial intelligence to recognize extreme crashes involving your typical cars like sedans and SUVs. And when your phone does recognize a crash, it will automatically call emergency services, playing a voice loop letting the operator know there's been a crash and send location information. Then there's emergency SOS. Your phone will literally go where most consumer smartphones have yet to go. If you find yourself off the grid, no cellular or Wi-Fi connection, and you have an emergency, the phone will guide you to connect to the satellites above you and initiate satellite communications to connect with an Apple-trained representative and get you some help. But what about the hardware, you say? Well, both devices have 6.1-inch OLED Super Retina XDR displays, which support HDR content and get plenty bright, though the Pro model does get brighter. The iPhone 14 gets as bright as 1200 nits, while the Pro model goes as high as 2000 nits. The second difference here is refresh rate. The 14 is a 60 Hz panel, while the 14 Pro is a Pro Motion display with a refresh rate up to 120 Hz, which means that scrolling around and doing things, animation should appear smoother and more fluid on the 14 Pro than the 14. Both devices have Lightning ports and built-in stereo speakers, and those are the major similarities between the two, besides the screen difference, as I mentioned. Now, we'll cover the major differences. Internally, the biggest difference between the two is going to be their processors. To really differentiate the lines this year, Apple kept last year's A15 Bionic in the iPhone 14, but bumped it up so that it's the same as the 13 Pro with the 5-core GPU. Then they bumped the Pro models to their new A16 Bionic. It has more everything over last year's A15 Bionic, including 50% more memory bandwidth and better thermal handling, which generally translates to better power efficiency. It has a new display engine and new image signal processor, both of which power some more key differences between these two phones. I won't get too deep into the weeds on the numbers here, but this year's lineup probably has the widest gap in specs, specifically the processor, than previous years. But what does that really mean for you? Well, let's get into that. It means that you're getting support on the Pro model for the other key differentiators in the lineup. In addition to getting Pro Motion displays on the Pro models, Apple introduces always-on display this year. All of that processor mumbo jumbo counts right here. Always-on display can eat battery life, but the new displays are capable of 1 Hz refresh rates for always-on display, as you can see here, so they should be more friendly on battery life. And it's done as well as you can see here where my lock screen image dims. and the colors and skin tones are still visible. And since we're on the front of the phone talking display, the smallest big difference between the lines is dynamic display. How do you take something people regard as an eyesore and make it a thing of beauty? In this case, the new pill-shaped front camera cutouts. You hide them in this delightful new software meets hardware feature. Dynamic Island is a hub for notifications, live software status, activities, and more. Make a FaceTime call and you'll see your status and be able to access controls from there. GPS routing info in the island. Music playing, minimized, goes up there as well, and all things allow you to tap and hold and bring up many versions of the app or apps. Yes, for multitasking, some apps will allow both to run in the island. So, if you're listening to music while cooking, you can set a timer and have both in the island, accessible and running. While you're on the new island on your iPhone 14 Pro, you still get the plain face front camera bathtub notch on the iPhone 14. No software covering it up, same as last year, kind of. The looks may be the same, but across the line, all iPhones have new true depth cameras which have autofocus now, let in more light for better low light performance, and allow you to sign in with Face ID with your phone in landscape mode. Other than processor, the biggest difference in phones is the rear camera modules. But I don't know if that translates into a superior level of photographic quality enough to make the average user who looks at photos from both say, yeah, I need that Pro model. So I'm going to show you some photos while I talk specs. You can make the decision. On paper, the iPhone 14 Pro models offer superior hardware and sensors. The iPhone 14 is only a dual camera system, giving you a main wide lens and ultra wide lens, capturing 12 megapixel images. This year's 14 Pro gets a new, brighter, adaptive True Tone flash, new larger 48 megapixel main sensor with second gen sensor shift optical image stabilization, and a larger ultra wide sensor with faster aperture, which means it lets in more light. And of course, with the Pro models, you're adding the 3x telephoto lens, and this year's main lens allows you to capture 2x telephoto shots as well.
But it's right here at night and in other low light conditions where the differences between the two devices really stand out. This is, of course, the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro, the main camera sensor. This will give you an idea of the difference in quality. And it's when we begin to utilize the ultra-wide lens on both devices that the differences become even more stark. The ultra-wide lens on this year's Pro model has a larger sensor, lets in more light, faster aperture, so you're going to get clearer images with better contrast and more detail, as compared to what you see here with the iPhone 14 standard version.
And here are some low-light photos I took in my bedroom. The fur beast was laying down. I had a single LED bulb on, dimmed to 10%, and the light of my TV. The iPhone 14's photos are soft, both from the main and the ultra-wide, while there is more detail, better contrast, and better exposure from the main and the ultra-wide on the 14 Pro. So, if your life is about raves or you take a lot of low-light photos, this is definitely something you'll want to consider. The other big difference is Pro RAW and Pro Res. You only get those two options on, the Pro cameras. But you may never need either. If you're someone who's going to take photos that you then want to go and manipulate in software like Final Cut Pro, Adobe Lightroom, or Photoshop, then you'll want those Pro cameras which have the Pro RAW and Pro Res features. If you have no clue what a Lightroom or Snapseed is, or you don't want to Photoshop photos, likely you're good with the 14 standard. In terms of video quality, you saw my stand-ups, so you see how different cameras will give you different quality. The iPhone 14 Pros being better, but outside of that, you get a decent level of parity in camera tricks as cinematic mode on both now supports 24 and 30 frame recording, and both models get the new action mode ultra video stabilization, which supports stabilized video at 2.8K 60 frames. Both cameras do benefit from the new photonic engine technology, which produces better photos in challenging lighting conditions, as well as overall upgrades to their technology. So iPhone 14 or 14 Pro? That's the question. My answer is this. If you're going to keep the phone for years, I'd honestly go with the Pro, even though the processor and the standard is still faster than the fastest competing processor today, if only by a small margin. The Pro's processor will future-proof your purchase decision for years to come. If you have very discriminating photographic tastes, if you're a creative who uses the phone in some manner for work or artistic endeavors, the Pro is the way to go. If you upgrade regularly but don't want to spend a ton when you do, the iPhone 14 is a great phone that will take great photos and give you solid gaming experiences and enable you to capture in high quality 4K Dolby Vision HDR video, life's moments you'll want to record. You know, baby's first steps, for example. And last but not least, if every dollar really, really matters, your discretionary income requires you to use a lot of discretion, you don't have to feel that you've settled with the iPhone 14. It's a great device for $200 less than the iPhone 14 Pro. And one note, while the starting base price for the 14 and 14 Pro is $799 and $999 respectively, I'd start with the second tier 256 gigabyte options, which are going to cost you $100 more for each. And as I touched on earlier, if you're a creative using the Pro, I'd start at the 512 gigabyte level, which is $12.99. And if you take a lot of video, seriously consider the 1 terabyte model, which is $200 more at $14.99. When you're taking a lot of high-res pictures and vids on a device with no removable storage, storage anxiety is one less thing you have to worry about when you pick up the larger storage options, because you and I both know you're not going to take the time to go through and purge old, unnecessary, unneeded content occasionally. You know you're not going to do that, right? You say you are, but have you actually ever done it? Anyway, I'm Tshaka Armstrong for reviews.org. If you have any questions about either of these devices, by the way, the colors are beautiful. This is purple, this is space black. I really love the space black this year. It's actually really, really nice if you like matte black. Great look, and the purple is cute. But anyway, any questions? Anything I didn't answer in this review, in this comparison, overview, please leave those in the comments below. I'll get to them. Love chatting with you. Again, Tshaka Armstrong, reviews.org. I'll catch you on the next video.